Greetings and welcome. We're Pocolaw, a Vietnamese law firm in Hanoi. We're all about giving you personalized legal help and really practical advice. In this video, we will answer your burning question. Can you invest in a Vietnamese company, whether by buying shares, a capital contribution, or even the entire business? The answer is a resounding yes, but let's break it down so you can move forward with clarity and confidence. Vietnam is a land of opportunity, and I'm here to guide you through the legal landscape of investing in its enterprises based on the Investment Law 2020 and Enterprise Law 2020. Let's dive in. First, let's talk about the ways you can invest in a Vietnamese company. As a foreign investor, you have several options to get a stake in a domestic enterprise. If you're eyeing a limited liability company, an LLC, you can either purchase capital contributions from existing members or contribute new capital to join the company. If your target is a joint stock company, a JSC, you can buy existing shares from shareholders or subscribe to new shares issued by the company. These methods let you step into an established business, whether it's a small LLC or a publicly listed JSC. But what if you want the whole company? That's possible too, through mergers, consolidations, or asset acquisitions, which I'll explain in a moment. The point is, Vietnam's legal framework gives you flexibility to invest at the level you're comfortable with, whether it's a piece of the pie or the entire bakery. Now let's address the big question. Are there limits on how much you can own as a foreign investor? Yes, there are caps, but they're manageable and in many cases quite generous. Under the Investment Law 2020, foreign investors can generally buy shares or capital in Vietnamese companies without limitation. But there are key restrictions to know. For public companies, those listed on the stock exchange or with significant public ownership, the default cap on foreign ownership is 49% of the total share capital. However, if Vietnam has made international commitments, like under the WTO or ASEAN agreements, that allow higher ownership in certain sectors, you can go beyond 49%, even up to 100%. For example, in some service sectors, Vietnam's commitments might let you own the entire company. In banking, though, there's a stricter cumulative limit, 30%, because it's a sensitive sector under specialized laws. And if you're investing in a state-owned enterprise that's being privatized, the foreign ownership cap will depend on the government's approved plan for that company. Here's something exciting. Starting January 2021, the new securities law kicked in, giving the government more power to adjust these caps. They're now tasked with issuing detailed regulations on foreign ownership, especially in conditional sectors. So, if a public company operates in a sector with unclear rules, what we call undetermined conditional sectors, the cap is 49% for now. But if you can prove your business isn't in one of those sectors, you might be able to push past that limit. The rules are evolving, and that's good news for investors like you. It means more flexibility down the road. Let's say you're not just buying shares. You want the whole company or a big chunk of it. Vietnam's Enterprise Law 2020 makes that possible through mergers, consolidations, or asset acquisitions. Picture a merger. One company absorbs another, taking all its assets, rights, and liabilities. The target company disappears, and the surviving company, you, takes over everything, including its debts and contracts. A consolidation is different. Two companies combine to form a new one, merging their assets and liabilities into a fresh entity. Both original companies cease to exist, and the new one carries forward. You can also divide or separate a company, splitting an LLC or JSC into new entities, dividing assets and liabilities accordingly. In a division, the original company vanishes, and the new ones share its obligations. In a separation, the original company continues, and the new entities take on part of its responsibilities, unless you agree otherwise with creditors and employees. Or you might go for an asset acquisition, buying all or part of a company's assets like its real estate, intellectual property, or revenue streams. This lets you cherry-pick what you want without taking on the whole business. After any of these restructurings, you'll need approval from the State Business Registration Authority to make it official. The key here? You have options, whether you want a piece, a part, or the whole. But there's a catch. Some deals require extra steps. If your purchase pushes foreign ownership to 51% or more of the target company's charter capital, or if the company operates in a sector with conditions for foreign investors, like banking or telecom, you'll need to register the acquisition with the State Investment Registration Authority. For an LLC, you'll also need to update its enterprise registration certificate. For a JSC, that step isn't required. Smoother sailing there. And if your deal qualifies as an economic concentration, like a merger or acquisition that gives you control, you might need approval under the Competition Law 2019. Control means owning over 50% of shares, assets, or voting rights, or having the power to decide key business moves. Notification is required if your company's assets or revenue in Vietnam hit 3 trillion VND, about 129 million USD, or if the deal's value is 1 trillion VND, or if your combined market share is 20% or more. For banks, insurance, and securities firms, the thresholds are higher, but the principle is the same. Big deals need oversight to protect competition. So what does this mean for you? You can invest in Vietnam, whether by buying shares, capital contributions, or an entire company. The laws are clear. You can own up to 100% in many sectors, with caps in others that are loosening over time. Mergers, consolidations, and asset acquisitions give you paths to full ownership. And while there are regulatory steps, like registration or competition approvals, they're manageable with the right guidance. Vietnam's legal framework is designed to welcome you while ensuring fairness and stability. Vietnam is your opportunity, a market ready for your vision. Whether you're buying a stake or the whole company, the doors are open. Yes, there are rules, but they're there to guide you, not stop you. So take the leap, invest with confidence, and let's build the future together in Vietnam. Thank you.